What does it take to restore hope? Sometimes it's simply one person reaching out a hand to help another in need. Hi everybody, I'm Steve Dunn, news anchor for KATU in Portland, Oregon. Since 1979, volunteers with Northwest medical teams have reached out and restored the hope of countless people in hopeless situations. I felt privileged to watch these dedicated volunteers in action when I joined them recently on a disaster relief mission to Honduras. In the aftermath of Hurricane Mitch, I witnessed medical volunteers risking their own health and safety to care for people on the brink of death. Back in the Pacific Northwest, we knew there were hundreds of volunteers packing over 1 million pounds of medicines and relief supplies to care for Hondurans suffering from dehydration, malnutrition, and disease. Throughout this tragic event, it was the reaching hands of volunteers that saved lives in Central America. In 1 week, one storm left over 1 million people homeless. People who already struggle with poverty were left with no food, water, or medicines. Days after the storm, volunteer doctors and nurses from Northwest medical teams travel through the remains of Honduran villages where entire homes and families are no more. For the next 3 weeks, these dedicated volunteers will drive over washed-out roads and through rivers. At each stop, they bring vital medicines and antibiotics critical for the refugees of this deadly storm.
At least this gave him a kickstart, the IV antibiotics. That's what this little guy needed this morning, boy.
He's burning with fever because of his pneumonia. Glad I'm here. If I'm not here, this little guy would probably, I don't know, 1 out of a 3 chance to not make it through this illness because of his age and malnutrition and then diarrhea and then the bad infection on top of it. You know, we can only help one child at a time, but this was one child that really needed the help, and we were here and he got help, and who knows what his future holds for him.
As of yet, there is no epidemic in this region, but the team treats many people suffering from dehydration, diarrhea, infection, and disease.
The child has pneumonia and diarrhea, and so I'm trying to give him an antibiotic that will cover both of those illnesses. 2 inyecciones 3 veces al día. Bueno, okay, por 10 días.
With each patient, there's a story of tragedy and survival of Hurricane Mitch.
The lights went out one night and the mountain proceeded to fall down on top of her home, and she reached behind her, grabbed for as many of her children as she could, and 2 of them were lost. Along with her grief from the loss of her children, she has physical ailments as well.
But not all is lost. Born the night of the storm, this little boy has the medical team to thank for his survival.
Over the past 24 hours, it's been dramatic. He's just calm, the fussiness has stopped, his fast breathing is slowed, he's more alert. He's been taking the bottle real well, working with the mom to get the breastfeeding going. What a dramatic turnaround.
And as Central America survives Hurricane Mitch, this dedicated group of volunteers will be there for the refugees of the storm.